Hello, you're watching Stretford Paddock. I'm Joe. I'm here this morning with the paper review. I'm going to be going over all of the morning stories from the papers and some of the stories that didn't make the papers for whatever reason. You can be the judge of why exactly that's the case. First up, the big one from last night, the hashtag Glazers Out trend on Twitter. This one came, well, I mean, it's the latest in a string of anti-Glazer campaigns that have gone on basically since they took over. But there was this was the most recent one. There was one a few weeks ago as well. I think this is probably the biggest one there's been so far. Basically, what it was is a hashtag on Twitter that Man United fans who were not in favour of the way the club's being run at the minute were encouraged to use as basically a sign of support that they'd had enough with the running of the club, that the Glazers, obviously the family that own the Man United, aren't doing the job that the fans want. It started, apparently, I think it started at 8:05 last night, which is 2005, obviously in a 24-hour clock, which is the year, 2005 is the year that the Glazers took over Man United. And it got to #1 trending in the world, which I think is by far the most popular of any of the sort of anti-Glazer type movements. It's essentially there was sort of calls to action placed around Reddit, placed around Twitter, giving people the lowdown on exactly what's going on, how to tweet, what not to say, what to say. Basically, there's certain things that United fans were told to avoid during this. Things like, don't swear, because if you swear and if it's a vulgar tweet, then Twitter won't be so keen on putting you on the trending list. Things like don't tweet the words Glazers Out in isolation, because if it's just the hashtag, then that counts as spam, and again, it won't get put on the trending list. So this was quite a well orchestrated sort of attempt to get this trending in a way that some of the more previous attempts have been a bit more kind of, I wouldn't say, just not quite so well orchestrated, basically. So there was, do not swear, don't tweet, only one hashtag as well, so that there was no confusion about what it was. It was only hashtag Glazers Out. And there was some examples. There was a sort of, like I said, a call to action almost that was sent around. There was some stuff like time's up, Glazers Out, enough is enough, Glazers Out. Basically just saying, here's what to say, here's what not to say. If we want to do this properly, we need to be organised and we need to know what we're doing. It's sort of, I think the reaction is, it shocked me personally. Not that people are upset with the way the club's been run, but quite the size and scale of the reaction shocked me. Like I said, it was #1 trending worldwide at around 11:30 p.m. last night. The question is, I suppose, what effect will this have? Obviously, like I said, we've seen these things before. We saw the green and yellow scarf sort of campaign that was, I think, 2010, that hit its peak. And it was, largely ignored by the Glazers, by the owners. I don't know if anything changed then. Obviously, that was pre-Ferguson leaving, so we thought things were bad then. Obviously, things are a lot worse now. Maybe that's why this has had such an effect. Obviously, we're live today. Let us know what you think to this. Do you think it's a good campaign? Do you think it will change anything? Do you think it's just another thing the Glazers will ignore? Do you think finally they might take a bit of notice? And if the Glazers do leave, what do you think the options are for Man United? Because obviously they're not just going to leave and give the ownership of the club back to the fans or to anyone that's necessarily the fans' choice. We would probably be being sold to, the very small handful of people in the world that could actually afford to buy a club worth £3 or £4 billion or whatever we're worth. Let us know what you think. Will they take notice of this? Basically, is my main question. Do you think it's just easily ignored, or do you think that the fact that this is happening over and over again now with seemingly more frequency, that this will be something that they're going to have to address at some point? Obviously, the Glazers have hardly even ever spoke publicly since they took over at Man United. So, do we expect something now, or do we not? Mill SY says, who buy though? Who's actually doing it? Well, 84,000 people as of 11:30 p.m. Last night had done it. So I think it's supposed to be a fan thing. It's not organised by some company or some industry that's putting money behind it. It really is supposed to be a grassroots campaign that is by the fans, seemingly, for the fans. There's a lot of people in here saying that they are supporting of Glazers Out. Glazers Out. We don't want businessmen who can't support a club. That's the opinion seemingly of a lot of fans. I'm not. It seems to be still going strong this morning as well. A lot of likes and favourites on tweets that came out in the last couple of hours. So it's not exactly dying down yet. There's a sort of a stat sheet that was going around of the way that the Glazers have spent money, the club's money during their time as owners, talking about the different types of debt that they're paying, the interest on that debt, and selling shares and things like that. Which, of course, some of that is relatively common practice for a business, but it does the feeling that United is being ran purely as a business sort of leave a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth of the fans. Again, you'll have to let me know on here. Liam Hemming saying there that Woodward is the issue, so maybe he's not necessarily anti-Glazer like a lot of people are. Will you be getting behind this? We've got Mitchell Mystery there saying Glazers out, Joe Smith in. I'm not sure I could run the club. I'd give it a go though. I'd definitely give it a go. I don't think we'll be having any Joe Smith out tweets anytime soon. I'll just buy all the best players and that. I'll do everything I can to make United good again. Paul Raysam here saying they're always slow in doing business, poor choice in transfers. Why would they be still holding on to Woodward? United look like a mid-table team now. That's maybe that's an interesting point. Not necessarily the way that they conduct the transfers, but even as businessmen, if someone like Woodward potentially is being seen as not doing his job correctly, should they be quicker to act in replacing the people above the manager, of course, because obviously they've been relatively hasty in appointing and then sacking of Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho. Is there a problem between the manager and the Glazers that hasn't been addressed in that time? Of course, that's up to you to say. That's basically the main crux of this movement. It's again, my concern is that these sort of things they come in waves, they get ignored by the club and they die down again. I think the main way that fans could really show their intention or their feelings on this is to keep a sustained level of support for this kind of thing. Again, if that's what you think would be the right thing to do. Liam Hemmings there again saying United is a business, all of football is. So maybe that's the opposite side to this. They're trying to make money, and surely they know that the best way they can make money is to have a successful club that players want to watch, that players want to join, and that fans want to watch. That's the best way for them to make money. So maybe they will sort of try to act more quickly in the transfer market and in getting the players they want. That remains to be seen. Our next story, which actually is in the papers today, I wonder why that wasn't in the papers. I wonder if it's just because it came out too late for the print, which is of course one of the downsides of print media generally, or maybe they didn't. The MEN that we've got here didn't think it would be a big story. Who knows? But of course, trending worldwide #1 is quite a big story. The United special then in the MEN today is our second bit of news, and this is saying that Reds are focusing on Wan before they move on. This says here that United are prioritising a deal for Crystal Palace defender Aaron Wan-Bissaka before they move on to other targets in the transfer window. Is that how it works? They just go after one, like Ed Woodward going around with a big bag of money to Wan-Bissaka's house, and we can't look at it. Surely we've got a team of people that are conducting multiple transfers at once. And it seems weird that we'd say, no, we're just prioritising on getting this one player and then we'll move on. I don't know, it seems, I don't quite understand. It says, sources have told MEN Sport a number of player representatives are in a holding pattern as Reds continue negotiations with Palace. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. It seems quite like a sort of a vague, the transfer's clearly in some state of discussion. Maybe it's stalled, maybe it hasn't. But I can't believe that we just have all of our transfer team working on this one transfer, and then all of the transfer team working on the next transfer. Surely, or at least hopefully, we've got multiple people working on multiple deals at once. Otherwise, I really don't know what's going on. Look at Real Madrid, they've already signed 6 people. Do you think all their team ran to the front door of Eder Militao, and then all of the team ran to the front door of Eden Hazard? I'm sure they were working on more than one deal at once, and surely United are as well. Let us know what you think to that. Do you think that the Wan-Bissaka deal stalling is a sign that we're not going to sign him? Do you think that we should be looking at other people at the same time? This idea of United representatives being stuck in a holding pattern, like they're on the phone to Wan-Bissaka's agent and they're just on hold, there's just hold music playing. That's not how it works, is it? I don't know how it works. You tell me. Let us know what you think. This is, again, a lot of talk about Glazers Out here on the comments. In all honesty, AWB, Aaron Wan-Bissaka should have been done a couple of weeks ago. Shame it's only getting finished now. Yeah, there's a point maybe there, especially if they have been, prioritising that deal before moving on to anything else. Maybe this should have been done then. If they're prioritising it, how can they not get it over the line? There's been talks of a 50 million bid. There's been talks which involved a 35 million bid plus 15 million potential add-ons, and there's been talks of just a 40 million bid. So it seems as though we're getting closer to the supposed 60 million that Crystal Palace are holding out for, which I'm sure we'll pay roughly around that if we do want him. That seems to happen. United come in with these low ball offers, and then the club says, no, we want this, and then we dilly-dally for a couple of weeks, and then eventually we pay what they wanted in the first place. So we'll have to see what happens there. Let us know what you think to the Glazers Out trend and to this story about the Aaron Wan-Bissaka being maybe we're on hold slightly there. Maybe this one's going to take a little bit longer. Do you think we should be targeting someone else if we can't get Wan-Bissaka in? Or do you think waiting for him is the right thing to do? Let us know what you think to that. We'll be back again tomorrow with another paper review. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.